It's The Late Show with Duza Bear. Tonight, Uncancelled, sort of. And MEP, UP, we all scream for IP. I don't get it. And now, here's your host, Duza Bear.
Hey, welcome to The Late Show. Welcome in here, out there, and to all the ships at sea. I'm your host, Duza Bear. Yeah, this is the first episode of our new show on this new stage. In a few moments, I'll get to that because you don't realize just how cavernous this theater is until it's been emptied. I mean, this place is huge.
Hey, Duza, can I ask a question?
Yeah, certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Louis Gatto and the DBS Orchestra. Louis?
You said the new show, but this does all seem rather familiar, eh? I mean, is it an homage to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert?
No, we stole it. We're ripping off everything we can get our fat little hands on. Lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah, but aren't you worried that CBS might sue?
Worried? No, Louis, I'm not worried. In fact, I dare them. I would love nothing better than for the cowards at CBS to grow a spine and try something. We're not worried, though. Are we, Jimmy? We're not worried? No?
No, it's a common term.
Huh?
I said late show is a common term.
Oh, right. Yeah. Late show is a very common term. So we're protected by free speech. Not American free speech, because that's for sale, but Canadian free speech because, and this is the best part, we're not American, buddy. So, hey, President Epstein, you want to stop the Late Show from mocking you nightly? Well, Tubosaurus Grift, ya can't. Ha ha! Elbows up, Dementia Don. The Late Show is still coming for ya, fat arse.
This is CBS intellectual property, isn't it? The CBS building.
Yeah, no, Louis. No, actually. International laws of salvage say that when you sink something of value and fail to recover it yourself, that it's open to anyone willing to recover it. So by giving up late night and the Late Show, CBS has tossed it into the ocean like NCIS New Orleans. And we're not stealing their IP, we're salvaging it from the bottom of the ocean of complicity that CBS has sunk to. Besides, I'm being told that our viewership numbers stink and we could use the free publicity that a lawsuit from CBS, Paramount, Sundance, Warner, Frito-Lay would bring. This way we get to piss off the President of the United States and a major U.S. corporation all at the same time, while having fun. It's a win-win-win. Well, for us anyway.
Yeah, well, what do I know? I am not a lawyer.
So yeah, nation, if you're just tuning in and a little confused, I get that. The big fat bully in the White House was circle-jerking himself over CBS's cancellation of Stephen Colbert, the Late Show franchise, and indeed all of CBS's late-night criticism of his corrupt regime. And clearly, he figured that from May 25th onward, he'd have one less critic to worry about. But here we are. Now for the segue. But you know, folks, the problem with a Monday show is the brain-dead idiot Marilardo has had nearly 60 hours to flood the zone with his addled brain distractions. Yet our crack team of writer has sifted through most of the nonsense, and that brings us to tonight's segment of News You Can Use. Woof. Yep, you stole that too, huh? Well, one thing the Late Show has always tried to do was recap the national conversation of the day, and the national conversation for all of last week was about the final few shows of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. One of the best gifts of that week was the break we all had from hearing the daily recap of nonsense from the grifter-in-chief at the White House. Is it the White House, or is he doing everything from Marilardo now? Anyway, it should come as no surprise to anyone that when Stephen's final episode aired last Thursday, the President of the United States and former leader of the free world immediately took to his personal rant platform for a final, classless, unpresidential swipe at Colbert, posting at 1:52 a.m. Eastern Time, and this is true, "Colbert is finally finished at CBS. Amazing that he lasted so long. No talent, no ratings, no life, He was like a dead person. You could take any person off the street and they would be better than this total jerk. Well, we're gonna be testing that theory this week, aren't we, Lewis?
Oh, yeah. Boom, boom.
Ugh, what an idiot he is. I'm sorry, as an American, Colbert had some respect for the office, but as a Canadian well-versed in the history of Americans screwing over its neighbors, its citizens, and indeed anyone it can whenever it was convenient for them, I not only have no respect for the office of the President of the United States, but the nation that gave the current resident that job not once, but twice. Ugh. Like most of the world and more than 57% of Americans, I am so over that moron. However, on to better things. So as you can imagine, Stephen is doing what he'd likely be doing anyway, enjoying vacation. The after-show party was clearly off the hook, which I think explains why we found Ryan Reynolds passed out in the corner over there this morning. As for the set, well, it's got a new home already. Yeah, that's right. The full set of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert has been donated by CBS to the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Chicago. The set will be relocated to the Windy City, where Stephen Colbert went to Northwestern University, lived, and originally started his comedy career with the Second City. The set will join other late-night television memorabilia already housed at the museum, including the desk from the week The Late Show was in Chicago for coverage of the DNC in 2024. Ironically enough, the Smithsonian approached CBS for the set, but was too late. Good thing, too, since returning to the Gold House, that's what it is now, right? President Epstein has been weaponizing every branch of the government he could, including forcing the Smithsonian to change and remove anything he doesn't like. So had the Late Show set ended up there, it likely would have been conveniently lost or boxed up next to the Ark of the Covenant in Roswell. Stick around, folks. Next up, The Sound of Science. We'll be right back after this brief message.
1, 2, 3, 14.
Johnny Rearender, bye-bye Johnny. Johnny Rearender, bye-bye Johnny.
So folks, as you may know, one job prerequisite for getting the Late Show hosting gig is an endless curiosity, particularly about science. And while I have that, I also have difficulty saying some of the larger scientific words, which is why when the need arises, instead of twisting my tongue over 15-syllable Latin phrasing, I get one of the staff members to take the reins in a reworked regular segment we've been doing for years that we're now calling The Sounds of Science.
The Sound of Science.
Hello, science, my friend.
I don't get it. Why are we doing this?
The Sounds of Science is another Late Show staple that we've stolen.
Yes, but we have a science bit. It's called Science Saturday. Why are we doing this instead of that?
Well, for one, Robin, it's not Saturday. The Late Show runs Monday through Thursday. And B, as I said, it's another Late Show staple comedy piece that we've stolen.
But Science Saturday isn't a comedy piece.
Yeah, neither is this, apparently.
Fine. In 2015, a group of researchers published a paper on the ARXIV preprint service that was later published in the Journal of Infometrics called, quote, Attention Decay in Science, end quote. Apparently, the publish or perish of academia has resulted in an exponential growth in the number of scientific papers, and that's made it incredibly difficult for researchers to keep track of work relevant to their own fields, resulting in a sort of science amnesia effect. In other words, a scientific study found that there were too many scientific studies. I'd tell you more about this, but I didn't have time to finish the paper. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Yeah, I don't get it. That one's gone right over my head, I think. I don't get it. And that's this issue of Science Saturday on a Tuesday.
Stick around, folks. Next up, I finally get a face-to-face with my formidable opponent, Azud Rayab. We'll be right back after this brief message. Immediately after the inauguration of President Epstein's second term, our studio was gassed, and me, Jimmy, and Robin woke up in a gulag. Well, it was actually an Alberta public school, but it really seemed like a Russian gulag because Alberta is terrible at running things. There, that's that bit of Canadiana I told you I was going to slip in there. Anyway, during our time off the air, our channel was, gifted to my evil doppelganger, who we've flown in for my first interview. So, folks, please give a warm, late show welcome to Azud Rayab.
I am finally on American televisions in late night. Huzzah! Actually, it's still Duza Bear Plus, the interweb's most furry streaming service. Bummer. So what's your story, Azud? Where do you come from? And why are you such a shill for fascists? Spill. A shill for fascists? I is not a shill for fascists. I am a patriot. You're a suck-up, constantly worried that you'll lose your job if the leaders aren't happy with what you've said. How is that not fascism? Yeah, right. And America is the land of the free and home of the brave. Yeah, mostly. Yeah, right. That is why Donald Genius Trump threatened the CBS, Paramount, Skydance, Frito-Lay merger if they didn't cancel Stephen Colbert. Freedom. Oh, of course. Okay, admittedly they're going through some growing pains right now, sure. But it's nothing like Russia, where critics are regularly shoved out of windows. Who said that lie? No critics are shoved. They conveniently lose their balance while perched out of windows looking at the beauty of Mother Russia's endless sky. Naturally. Yeah, you really do twist facts for whatever bias you want, eh? Naturally, I learned from the best. Nazi propaganda minister Dr. Joseph Goebbels? No, of course not. Fox News. Yeah, but you're not really selling it well, are you? What are you saying? Well, I've seen some of your stuff. It feels more like you're trying to use sarcasm and reverse psychology on people. Explain, please. Well, your latest bit was that we need to feed our children more preservative and processed laced foods because life expectancy has doubled in the decades since they were introduced, and that the trend towards organic and natural food snacks will bring us back to the time when people often died before they were 40. All accurate. Yeah, but your argument is more mocking of the idea than actually selling it. I 1000% believe everything I've ever said. Are you trying to get me killed, Bear? You regularly and exaggeratedly imply causality from things that are only correlations. Anyone can see that. That is also not true. Life expectancy doubled because science and medicine did a better job of ensuring healthy pregnancies and treating once fatal childhood diseases. Not because around the same time people started eating foods with preservatives in them. That's so obviously ridiculous. How could it not be satire? It feels true, so I see it. That is how all patriots and most conservatives think. That's what we mean when we say common sense. Poor people are failures because they don't work hard enough, while the common folk cannot succeed because of overtaxing governments and the nanny state keeping us from succeeding. Ask anyone. That feels right. Just like billionaires should be billionaires because they put everyone to work, and welfare bums should not get handouts because they are bums. But going back to the claims about food you've made, processed foods have been proven to directly be the cause of the obesity epidemic Western nations are experiencing. Even France is having this problem now. France, of all places! Obesity epidemic. How woke of you! Obesity isn't a bad thing. Poor nations don't have obesity. If your people are fat, then it is because your society is rich. But rich people aren't fat. No, of course not. They can afford good food. But have you seen the people in those countries? They're skinnier than olive oil on the Popeyes cartoons. Sure, but food with, as you've claimed, science and Latin words in them don't contribute to longer life. They have just the opposite effect. Oh, really? then why do people live longer now than they did 100 years ago? Because we have childhood vaccines and medicine. If a person made it past the age of 10 in 1900, then their life expectancy was nearly the same as it is today. No, that doesn't feel right. I mean, do you expect anyone to believe that the switch of snacks to healthy foods and the fact that life expectancies for children born today are 13 years lower than they were when you were born is just a coincidence? No, of course not. Then I win. No, I expect science to research it and find the real cause, so we're not making a bad situation worse by eating foods with excessive added sugars, sodium, and unhealthy fats, instead of those with dietary fiber and essential nutrients. And you wonder why they locked you up, you lunatic. Ha! I win again.
I'll be right back after this brief message.
You mean we'll be right back, don't you?
Oh, no, you're leaving.
Oh, Krapski. Well, it is a nice if somewhat ornate theater, for sure.
Next up, a special performance by a very special musical guest. We'll be right back after this brief message. Tonight we have a special treat. Performing one of my favorite songs is Elvis Costello, Louis Gato, and the DBS Orchestra. Boys,
next door neighbor will be going bonnet. The milkman arrives at midday with his usual white's crack. He knows a girl with Wednesday legs, so Wednesday gonna stack. Why does everybody have to be so hell and hearty? Can't they see we're trying to have a party, 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 party? The last thing I remember, I was talking to some fellas. They just said you'd have a word from me with a good-looking maid, and handed me a pint bottle with that the car and ties it. And I woke up in the flower beds of fear and fertilizer. Why does everybody have to be so hell and hearty? Can't they see we're trying to have a party, 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 party? So shift yourself and shake your body. Got bulletproof insurance from five blood and act of God. You got to learn from your mistakes when you got to face like last week's conflicts. The doors and the window frames are by Pablo Picasso. The party decorations hung by Michelangelo. The pipe music that you hear is by Stravinsky. The overall design by Leonardo da Vinci. Why does everybody have to be so hell and hearty? Can't they see we're trying to have a party, 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 party? Two boys are upstairs in your bed, three girls are downstairs crying. The Alka-Seltzer in the glass is roaring like a lion. You think you've aged 10 years tonight and still never been kissed, so you overdose on aftershave and try to slash your wrist. Why does everybody have to be so hell and hearty? Can't they see we're trying to have a party, 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 party? Party, 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 party. Party, 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 party. Party, 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 party. Alright, party, party. Party, 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 party.
well, folks, that's it for our first week here at The Late Show. Join us next week when my guest will be... Wait, what? Is that for real? Jimmy? We got Donald Trump? But why? He's a media whore who would have even been on Colbert if he'd been invited. Huh. Sign off, Bear. We're done for the week. Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. We've got more Late Show with Duza Bear Monday through Thursday each week.